If you are a newcomer to the Pathfinder series and are really hyped for the Wrath of the Righteous game, this video is for you. Just for your information, this isn't gonna be a real guide. The game is way too complicated. This is mainly just a few tips and tricks that I find would be really useful, and I wish I knew when I started playing Pathfinder Kingmaker, the first game. But if you want a full guide, please head to my channel. I've got a 1-hour beginner guide that will take you most of the way to making your character. But without further ado, enjoy the video. The game is definitely very complex, but it is still a single-player RPG, and as such, it is designed to be beaten. The community did a great job hyping up the difficulty, especially after the first one's unfair mode. Now, as a newcomer, you probably won't be playing on unfair, probably on normal, easy, or even hard. And I assure you that in any of those modes, the game is perfectly beatable. As I said before, the game is incredibly complex, and many of its systems come from a tabletop experience where a walk through town and a single fight can take up to 4 hours. Trust me, I've been there. So take your time, read through all the menus, all of the items, and all of the abilities you get. And at the end of the day, you'll do just fine. Speaking of taking it slow and reading a lot, the game offers a neat tool that most people seem to underuse. It's the combat log, and it shows you everything that's rolled during combat for each attack and each interactions. I haven't seen many people talk about how necessary this is for newcomers, but trust me, it'll help you understand the game better, and it'll save you a ton of headaches. This game is long, and I mean really long. And if it's anything like the first Pathfinder, your character will be by your side for many and many hours. This is obviously really good for a game centered around the player decisions and their consequences, be them positives or negatives to your playthrough. But it also means that if you go uninterested in your characters, you'll probably lose interest in the game entirely. So make sure to spend a reasonable amount of time in the character selection screen, unless, just like me, you thought about your character for the last 6 months. Following the advice about being invested in your character, I feel like it's very tempting to just go online and find a build to get through the game. But honestly, on your first playthrough, unless it's on one of the harder difficulties, it's not necessary. I've beaten Kingmaker with single class characters a few times, even on the harder difficulties. Of course, on unfair, you might not have a choice, as attacks basically kill you in one shot. But I don't think that's where you guys are playing anyways. So I feel like following somebody else's build will just make you lose sense of what your character is, and it'll become someone else's character. That's kind of a personal preference, obviously, but I just wanted to put that out there. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous has around 35 classes, and each of them has a few subclasses. Pair that with the 9 mythic paths you can take, and you've got a lot of option. And I do truly mean a lot. So where do you start? Well, you'll spend a lot of hours selecting your character and its classes. Everybody has their preferences. I am a arcane caster by heart, so I'll probably go wizard, sorcerer, arcanist, or witch. But everybody has different taste. I'll be releasing a video on the classes, the lore, and the flavor they offer when the game releases. So if you're still unsure about what character you'd like to play, make sure to subscribe. If not, just read through all of the text. Some classes are really interesting and they are sure to catch your eyes. Often when I tackle these big RPGs, I always wonder if the choices I'm making are the right ones. And I end up looking online and spoiling myself half the questline. But I'm going to urge you, and myself at the same time, to live with those choices. With the addition of all the mythic paths I talked about in the last point, and all of the classes, there are more than enough reasons to replay the game. So at least for the first run, just live with it, right? I myself am going to do at least 3 runs. One as a caster lich, which is going to be my first one, a divine caster, probably a neon or a mage, and then I'm really intrigued by the swarm that walks, so I'm probably going to do at the very, very, very least 3 runs. It's going to be one of the best CRPG of the decade, so gotta get with it. This game is based on the pen and paper experience, like I said before. This means it includes dice rolls. So no matter how good your character is at fighting or persuading people or anything really, sometimes you'll just fail and it sucks. There's no way around it. And you'll want to reload, but then you're gonna be like me and you saved 3 hours ago. So don't do the same mistake. Save and reload to your heart's content. The game is built around it, trust me. In this game, you can choose to tackle fight in a turn-based fashion, akin to the Divinity Original Sin 2, or in a real-time with pauses fashion, like the Pillars of Eternity games. You can switch freely even in the middle of combat, which is a good addition, and obviously everyone will have their pick. I'm mostly a turn-based guy myself, because I find it easier to make the most out of every single action, and it's also easier to understand what's going on for newcomers to the Pathfinder system. It'll allow you to read the combat log easier, and you'll see exactly who casts what. But I won't deny that real time has its uses. For instance, a fight can quickly devolve into you trying to hit an enemy for 5 rounds, missing every attack. The only thing taking meaningful damage is your patience. In this situation, don't be afraid to turn on real time with pause fighting, which will make those 5 rounds roughly 30 seconds. This is such a niche advice, but I haven't seen anyone talk about it since I started playing the Kingmaker games about a year ago. Somewhere into my second playthrough, I noticed that the control key on your keyboard lets you target the ground instead of the enemies, which means you won't get clipped onto them whenever casting grease or whenever you try to walk around them to flank them. This is so useful, and I never heard about it. So honestly, this is probably the most important tip of the whole video, and it's only 30 seconds long. Use the control key. Flanking is such an important part of the game, you won't regret it. This is for an honorable mention for a tip I kind of thought after the whole video was made, but you can actually macro spells on the sidebar. So this makes pre-buffing before a fight really easy. You just need to hit a bunch of F keys or something like that, whichever one you macro them to. So I just thought I'd throw this out there. It's really time consuming to just pre-buff every fight, so use it. And while I'm at it, if you made it this far into the video, make sure to like and comment your favorite tip. Also subscribe if you'd like more Pathfinder and other RPG content. I'll start streaming this game when it releases on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. And I'll also stream other games like the upcoming Tales of Arise, which I'm very hyped about. So until then, stay safe, and I'll see you guys around.